What's happening, people? This is a video for our kitchen tap. That is the copper tap for what we've mainly used for washing our hands, cleaning our teeth and washing dishes, etc. And we've got the fresh water tap here as well for filling up our fresh water. This is just online how I installed this tap and this into the bench. It's got nothing to do with the plumbing or the waste, that's all in the plumbing video, so I'm gonna get straight into it. So just installing the fresh drinking water tap on the kitchen workbench, and I'm just going to go through how I've wired this. So basically got 12 volts running through bench power supply, got positive and negative. So this will in a sense be where the chocolate block is, and that also is the feed for the trio gas alarm. And from there, so this is a constant live which goes to this chocolate block here. So basically got the neutral running to one side, that just runs straight through to the neutral. That is connected to a 12 volt pump that is in this bucket, and from the 12 volt pump you've obviously got your, this is 10mm UPVC or PVC food grade hosing, which goes to the tap itself. And then there is the positive which goes in the middle of this chocolate block, and then in essence these two wires that are going in and out of the tap is basically just a split link between the positive line. So constant feed's coming in, the live feed is split by these wires. So one of the wires from the tap goes into one side of this, and then the other side comes out the other side of the tap into this chocolate block, and then the other side of the chocolate block there is the live feed from the pump as well. So basically once you've done that, flip this switch, got the lid from the hard 10 litre water container. I'm going to drill a hole in here for the cable from the pump and also for this 10mm tubing, and then I'm going to silicone round to seal it. This will screw on with the pump dropped inside of the tank, and then obviously the wiring will go wherever that needs to go, and the water line will be plumbed back onto this tap, and then we have a drinking water tap. Let's get that. So just drill a hole for this part and the wires to fit down into. Doesn't really matter what size hole you use, doesn't have to be too big as long as it's obviously not the width of what's going to actually cover it. So I'm going to feed them through there. Obviously you get some screws supplied with the pack, and they go into the holes at the front and the back, and then I'll wire it up from underneath, and then obviously underneath the cabinet here, this is our 10 litre container. That's the side where the screw top's coming on, so the submersible pump's going to be in the bottom of this tank here. This is going to be fixed to the wall with some galvy band, and there's going to be a screw that I'm going to be able to get to on this side for if this needs to be taken out and cleaned. And then I'm going to screw the top back on once it's all siliconed up, and then underneath the cabinet here where that hole is, that's obviously where the pipe will be connected up to. So once the electric's all up and running, we'll have a tap which we can use for fresh water, as we don't really want to be drinking the stuff that's going to be down in the tanks that we're using for the sink and the shower, especially in foreign countries. So I'm going to get that fit to the bench now and plumb the rest of the work up, and then I'll show you how it's working. So that's the lid there. Obviously drilled a separate hole for the pump and the wire, and the rubber seal that's actually on the lid originally still in there. I'm not even going to put any silicone in because I'm quite happy that them are sealed up enough, and there's no real reason to be fair. There's not going to be able to get any evaporation or anything out of their holes, so I'm just going to feed the pump end straight into the tank now, and then connect the wiring and the hosing up. I'm going to connect the hose to the tap before I actually drill it into the bench, just to make sure that the hose has got some clearance in that hole that I've drilled, and then we'll give it a test. Oh, one more thing, that's the bucket there, or the container. You can probably see there's actually one side of the container which is sloped, which is the one nearest to us now, which I was going to put the funnel on originally, but now that the tank's actually in there, I found out that it's better off having it with the straight side coming down, because the funnel actually goes straight into the cap at the other side. So I'm going to use the sloped side for the pump, and then we'll give it a fill via the bench at the top, and then we'll give it a try in the lake. That's the pump pushed in. I don't know whether you can see it faintly in the corner there, but that's actually the bottom of the sump tank, or the sump filter, sorry, and it's just got a little hole in the bottom. So you want to push this into a corner, or at least have it lying on the bottom. It might not drain the last half a litre or something out of this tank, but as long as it's sitting somewhere near the bottom of your container, you're going to get 9 litres out of there. So that's the hose line connected to the actual tap. I just cut it a little bit longer so I can pop it up out the bench, and then I can get a good connection on there. If there's a little bit of slack underneath, it's all good, as I've seen how powerful the pump is anyway, so the length of the line isn't going to make any difference. And I'm just going to feed these wires down the back of the same hole now that the hosing's actually attached, and then I will drop this to the bench and use the 2 screws to fix it to the bench after that. So all of the electrics and the pipe work are linked up now. I'm going to show you the method of filling the actual tank. I'm going to use this funnel. This one bought as a spare to fill any engine oil or coolant, but I haven't actually used it yet. I'm just going to use a small one with a tiny little spout and a small head to fill the water up, but I haven't gotten around to getting one of them yet. But I'll show you the rubber grommet in the corner, and then we'll put some fresh water in. Got the 12 volt bench supply hooked up to the 12 volt panel at the back of the electric box, and then we'll give the tap a test. So basically this is the little rubber grommet, 16mm grommet. I've just used a fast bit to fast bit the kitchen bench, and that's just to stop any debris or anything getting down there. So that just pops in and pops out, stop any dust or anything getting down there. Obviously your funnel will go into here, and then I'll show you underneath. That is the underneath. Obviously you've got your funnel, which is catching the water going straight into the container, and then at the other side you've got the pump, which is sat at the bottom of the container, and then the PVC tubings come out of there, and then under the sink into the tap. So essentially, I don't know whether you can see there, that's the spare wire from the Trio gas alarm, and behind there there's just a chocolate block, and that's actually just a live feed from the 12 volt DC supply at the back from the batteries. So I'm going to get a funnel in here and then fill it up with this filtered drinking water, and then we'll have a try. So that's the tank filled. In essence, everything should work, so we're going to give this a test. Let's give it a test. Whoa. Right folks, this is the kitchen tap build, if you like. We decided to go for a copper tap, so this is a bit of 15mm copper I've had in me back in my shed for a couple of years. It's not a full length, I'm hoping that it's going to be enough to actually do the job. So you're going to need 15mm pipe. I've got these pair of brass red handle gate valves, and they just work like any other tap. They'll let whatever amount of water you want through. Got a different selection of fittings, brass fittings. So these are 15mm Corpex fittings. That is a Corpex T fitting, so the spout's going to be coming out the middle of the T and it's going to bend round over the sink, and then the other two ends of the fitting, that's where the copper will tee off from, and then that'll go through the bench on a downward slope like so. So basically the copper will come out of here into a tap. The tap will be facing the sink, and then after the tap there'll be an elbow, and then the elbow will elbow down through the workbench. I haven't decided how I'm going to actually fix the tap to the workbench yet. I'm thinking that I might have to put another fitting, another Corpex fitting tight underneath the workbench, unless I can find some sort of clamp or something online. So if anybody has any ideas about that, that would be helpful. And what else have we got? You're going to need a pipe cutter. This is adjustable one. I use this for my 15mm stuff. I've got a 22mm pipe cutter in my bag as well, but we're going to be using 15mm today, so you're going to need one of them. You're going to need a pipe bender. I already had a pipe bender, I didn't go and buy this just for this job. I've used it quite a few times. So yeah, either if you're going to want a curved spout, you're going to want to get yourself a pipe bender, and the only other way around that is to have a square tap and to put these fittings on the corners. So you would have a square tap, you'd have a brass fitting in each corner, and then that would get your tap over the sink. Where you're going to have one complete bit of copper on a curve, so you're going to need a pipe bender for that. And these are the two runners, the guides that you put in. This is a 22mm one. You should get these with the pipe bender itself, and obviously we're not going to be using the 22 today, but you do need a runner with your pipe bender. Got the same putty that I've been using on a lot of jobs. This is, or can be used for gas feeds as well. So obviously this is a domestic feed for the kitchen tap, but this can be used for water mains as well. That's going to be used to paste the olives and the inside of the female thread, like I've been doing on everything else. And then a tape measure. I've already been in the van and measured what width I want the two 90-degree elbows to be going down the bench to. So obviously I will make the tap first. As long as it's somewhere near, I'm thinking somewhere in between 350 and 380mm, so both will look good, and I've got a 30mm play there. But if you want it very spot on, then obviously you'll have to measure it a bit more accurately. And an indelible pen or marker, so you can mark your copper where you either need to bend or you need to cut your pipe, pencil, a couple of spanners, adjustable spanners, or one spanner and a pipe grip. So first of all, I'm going to bend the spout in, and then I'm going to give that a cut. I'm going to go out of the van, see what height I want it to sit, and then we'll go from there. How you want to get your pipe, how you want to use your pipe bender. If you're using a pipe bender, you need to decide how much of an overhang you actually want on this copper pipe. So if your spout is coming, let's see if I can get a visual on that. If your spout's coming over and you're cutting it off pretty much as soon as it hits the downward slope, then you're not going to want to bend as much of this. But if you want it coming over and maybe it's coming down over 5 or 6 inches, then you're going to want to set the pipe bender further down. So this is how I use a pipe bender. I'll sit it on the floor with the wheel that you're going to be using facing up. In this case it's 15mm wheel. Then you want to open your pipe bender, open it out so it's right the way open. You want your copper, then your guide. So your guide's running against this runner here, sit it up against your copper, sliding through this weir here. This silver guide basically wants to be more or less flush with these, the wheel and the actual bend here. So, and then you've got your pipe clamp that's just on a pivot which clips over from onto your copper pipe. Then you just want to hold it together, give them a little nip so they won't fall out of there. So basically this is going to be from pretty much the beginning of this bend here to the end is going to be the length of your spout. So I want mine about 200. I'm going to cut it a little bit bigger just to give us a chance to cut whatever I don't use off the end. And 220, so I'm going to count 220, I'm going to say 220 to there. So I need to push that through a little bit. And while I'm on, actually this copper's actually quite scratched at this end, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to flip this around quickly. Because I'm a bit of a fanny. And then once your copper is set up, bend away. What I'd do is put this handle on the floor. Is that in shot there? Put the handle on the floor and then let's see if I can get a shot of that. Pretty much just push down. And once you've started your bend, it should be easier. You can pick it up. 15 mil is quite easy to bend anyway. 22 mil you usually need to put it on the floor like that. But right, so basically it's getting to that distance now. I want it bending all the way around, so just the roller was actually going to roll off the end of the guide, so I've just loosened it off, pulled the guide along. Right, now I'm not sure whether this bend is just going to be a little bit too narrow, so basically what I'm going to do, I'm going to measure the distance between that 100 millimeters. I'm going to see how far this actually bridges over the sink, and then what we might have to do is leave this spout that is coming over the top and just leave it on the angle so the water is coming more or less into the middle of the sink. I don't want the water splashing all over the back of the sink, so I'm going to go and have a quick measure of that now and then we'll move on to the next part. Just a quick one on pipe benders. As you've seen, I got the pipe to pretty much this angle here, so if that's the straight there, that's the angle of the pipe at the moment. If you're wanting to bend yours straight round back on itself, you pretty much got to have a 180 wheel here. So this pipe bender only obviously goes to that angle. If you're wanting to go all the way around, you'll need a 180 wheel, and the only other option is to put two 90-degree bends on. So you would do a 90 and then you'd have a little bit of a straight and then another 90-degree bend. So I've just been in the van and did a bit measuring up, and I've cut the spout for the height that I needed. Like I said, I didn't know how the pipe bender was actually going to cope or act when you're looping right back on yourself, with that actually only being a 90-degree wheel. So it has actually started to kink a little bit here, so I've stopped the bend and happy with how it looks. I actually quite like the little ripples that are in the copper here. So cut the tap there for length, and then we're just going to leave this copper spout here on the angle. So once this is all fixed in place in the van, I'll let Jen decide what length she wants this cut. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to fix this spout into the Corbex, so we will go gas putty or putty, and then paste your female collar inside. Be quite generous. Slip that over. Paste all the way around your olive. Make sure your copper pipe's in full slip. Just make sure you've got it at 90. Don't tighten it right the way up. Sit it flat on the desk. Right, I'm happy with that being 90, so I'm going to give it another nip. Right, so that's it done. I'm happy that's not going to go anywhere. Happy that it's straight, so I'm going to get my pipe grips on there. And just give that a good nip up. So that's our pipe tap. Next we are going to lay these out, so like so, and then basically there's a certain length that I want this to be, so you want to get your tape measure. Mine's between 350 and 380, so set it out, equal distances. You're measuring from the back end of that female to the back end of that female. So these pipes, what I'm going to cut, are all going to be 50mm. So I'm going to do this elbow first, so paste your female, paste your female, man, if you want to get lucky. Paste your olive. Right, so female on. Ooh. Right, that's you. Make sure it goes in full slip. Get your pipe grips and your spanner, and give it a good nip. Right, next. So the elbow is going to be facing down. I want the taps facing out over the sink. What do I want? Maybe I don't. Yeah, I can always change it. I'm going to have them out over facing. If Jen comes back and decides she wants something different, then I'll change them, I guess. Right. Same process. Fast forward. So once the tap was constructed, I took it to the outside of the van and just measuring up what length I need the pipes, what are going to be dropping through the bench at. So I've measured the slip length here and obviously what extra I need to poke through the bottom of the bench. Once I've done that, I constructed or put together these parts here. This is a 15 to 12mm BSP, just a bit of copper and then a couple of flexi hoses. Just cut out the part and just put them together. It's exactly the same procedure as putting the tap together. And once you've got these, this is what I've attached to the copper that came through the bottom of the bench. Right, so once you've done that, you've got the two bits of copper for the bits that go through your bench. You want to attach these to your tap. So as I said earlier, I didn't know how I was going to fix the taps to the actual bench and make them sturdy so they didn't wobble. I went with this idea of two pieces of galvanized band, one crossing the other, and just use a bit of old workbench here with a hole saw, or I'm not actually sure what you call that drill bit, but it sort of widens as you drill through. So I put it onto the workbench there and just opened it up until a 15mm bit of copper can fit through, and then I'm just going to use these as a wing to actually fix to the workbench, which you'll see a little bit further on in this video. So once all that's put together and you've got all your pieces, you want to accurately, this isn't accurately, I was just giving a representation for the video, but you want to accurately measure to the millimeter the centers of your tap, which I'm doing here. You want to check and recheck these, make sure that absolutely to the millimeter, because this is going to be the centers for where these drop through and there's not much room for error. So find your centres. I've just used a set square here. Get yourself a set square if you haven't got one on your van build yet. They do come in handy for pretty much a lot of jobs. And once you've measured your centres, and I'm just checking here to what depth I wanted the tap to sit away from the sink. So once you've got your tap centre measurement, for example, if your tap centres are 300mm, you'll want to half that, which is 150mm. Then from your centre mark, which is in the middle of your sink, you want to measure away 150mm to either side and put a mark on there. Once you put a mark for your width measurements, you want to use your set square like I am here, so you've got your depth measurement, and then you can put your tap up against it, eye it in to see if the centres sit right. Use a really small drill bit, smallest drill bit you can get. This is just a pilot hole for your hole saw or your fast bit, whatever you're going to drill your bench with, and then drill through. So in this instance, the closest thing that I had to a 15mm hole saw was this 13mm fast bit. So what I did, I would use a 13mm fast bit, and then I just used a standard wood bit or wood drill bit. I think it was 8 to 10mm, obviously as long as it's smaller than 13mm fast bit hole, and then just literally bored out the extra 2mm until the copper pipe, 15mm copper pipe fit in there quite snug. Now it is handy just to do this anyway, as it stops your tap from moving around and makes it fit in there quite snug, stops it from bending, moving, and gives you a nice tight fit. Put a little bit of pink grip in the hole there for good measure. Didn't need a great deal, the taps were quite tight anyway, but just put a little bit of that in and just smooth that around with my finger before actually putting the tap in. And then after that it was a case of feeding through the taps and then just tapping down either side with a hammer. Just used a chop of wood on the top of the actual tap here, just to make sure I didn't damage the brass fittings, and just did a little bit on either side as I went. So quick one on these flexis. This is just something that I've added on because basically I'm putting a bin under there and it takes up pretty much all of the space. So as soon as the copper from the tap comes through the bench, I need that space, so I've elbowed it into some copper, into a flexi, and then I can run that down the wall to connect to the push fit. If you don't need to do that and you've got plenty of space under your sink, then you can just put the copper straight through and just put this fitting, the 15 to 12 reducer, BSP reducer, straight onto your copper, and then you can just put your push fit straight into that, and it'll save you having to fanny about with all of this stuff. So once that was all attached underneath, as you can see the tap coming back up here, it's me knocking it from the underside, and then you'll see it's come up and check the height measurements. Did want the height at both sides to be the same, and that's about it for this part. So that is the tap in place. Happy with how it's looking. You can super glue these collars down to the bench or put a bit of silicone or something on to stop them from moving around. And I'm going to connect up these push fit pipe in here now. So I've got the 15 to 12 reducers on the end. The copper comes down from the tap above the bench and into this elbow. Obviously your seam is knocking the tap down with the wood, so knock the tap right down, so there was plenty of spare to get this elbow onto. And then obviously when both sides were on, I just knocked the tap back up until the compression or Cornex fitting was touching the underside of the workbench. So got your elbow, and then we've got this galvy band which I slipped over the copper before I put it all together, and that just is fixed into the workbench with a couple of wood screws. That just stops the tap from moving around a little bit. These holes are already quite tight, but this just gives it a little bit more support. So you've got your copper which goes into your flexi hosing, and then the flexi hose comes down to this BSP 15 to 12, and that'll be connected to the push fit pipe. So what was I gonna say? Yeah, basically you don't need to use this flexi hosing. What you can do, the copper that comes straight down through the workbench, you can put this 15 straight onto that, and then you push fit straight into there. But I just need this space up behind here. I wanted to keep as much of it free because where I'm actually lying there's going to be a bin, and I had these lying around in the shed anyway, so it just makes it a neater job, nice and flush to the wall. I'll get these strapped back to the wall and it'll look like a proper job. So yeah, basically something to note when you are using push fit into a Cornex or BSP fitting, whatever you want to call it, you'll need to use a push fit insert. So if you were using this piping with a push fit fitting, you don't necessarily need to use an insert, although it is a good practice to always use one. But when you're using push fit into BSP, you'll want to use one of these, because when you nip it on, the olive actually crushes the pipe, it crushes onto the pipe. So if you don't have this, then it'll simply just crush this down and you'll get a leak straight away. So this just makes the end of the pipe a little bit more rigid and allows you to get a good seal around your olive and your fitting there. So I'm going to get these cut down to length, I'm going to get them connected up, and then that closes the circuit for the water mains, or the water hookup, water services, and then we can put a pressure test on and see if all of our waters work. Right, just a quick snap of this before I connect them up. There's a bit of not very much space here for us to get a video, but basically just cut the fitting down to quite a bit more than what the thread is, because these flexis will actually push up out of the way to whatever you need to be, so you're better off cutting them a bit longer than cutting them too short. So I'm just going to push these into here exactly the same as I have with all of the other fittings, and then when you're tightening on to push fit, you just want to get it fairly well, you want to get it tight and then just give it a half a nip or a quarter of a nip. Obviously just common sense how much you want to nip it on. You don't want to crush the pipe too much, because you're only crushing onto that plastic insert, but you don't want to overdo it, so you're better off doing it too little, and then once you do a leak test, if you get a leak, then you can just nip it up a little bit more. So get these nipped on, and then we can do a leak test on the water services. So I've just plugged in the bench power supply and turned the quarter turn for the pump. The pump's been working away there for a minute or so, as the water services is now sealed with this last connection to the sink. So the boiler's now full, so 10 litres of water's went into there, ready to be heated, and I've checked all of the fittings and there's no leaks. So obviously the waste isn't connected up yet, so I've just got a bucket under here, but let's give this a go. There you have it. So that's it for the tap install. Join us again in the next video, installation, and help us out as well. Give us a like and a subscribe. Follow our Instagram. We're in middle Portugal now, so we're heading down to the south, and keep up to date with our travels. See ya.